something I've essentially called future-proofing digital commerce in the world of IoT. And as you may have seen alluded to in the presentations earlier, Banner is not yet live. We're in fact starting our UAT process Monday. And as we continue to sort of layer on some additional business processes, we fully anticipate that we will have our store live essentially right after the July 4th holiday. So we're very excited about this because it represents, for me, a successful launch and my third time dealing with implementing an e-commerce system, to which I'll speak to, and always with a different company, and surprisingly, always a different journey each time. But what I can at least say with confidence now is that I don't have to necessarily worry about putting in a system that I will ultimately have to replace. So, who am I? The thing about my last name, you do not need to learn ever how to pronounce it to talk with me. It is so difficult that even my own family has problems. It's Hohertz-Foat, so everyone just calls me Melissa. I am the Global Digital Strategy Manager for Banner Engineering. And I have been doing that now for 2.5 years. I essentially lead updating our digital tools and our entire digital customer experience. And that includes a great team that stewards 21 websites, all of our marketing automation, and all of our social media. I actually am the person who brought the most team to Excite this year. I count 4 of us. That includes, everybody be nice to me today because my boss is here. And then also, I did bring in our IT lead as well as our now permanent PHP coder who will support our Spryker experience. So, before Banner, I've really enjoyed being a digital strategy consultant for a number of companies, including several in the Fortune 100. It also includes Anytime Fitness, M Health, CVS Health, Minute Clinic, Red Brick Health, now Virgin Health, Best Buy, and Bank of America. And I apologize for the photo. I did not actually, due to COVID, have an up-to-date headshot. So what I put instead was being kissed by a salmon. One of my hobbies is flying around the country to run marathons. And so this one is actually from fall of 2021. I was in Montana where my sisters and I were running in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest, carrying cans of bear spray and being told to watch out for Great Pyrenees dogs that were guarding sheep up on the mountain range. And by the way, if you're ever approached by a Great Pyrenees dog, you stand completely still and say very sternly, "Go to the sheep." All right, so what I actually want to introduce you to is Banner. And the funny thing is, I originally with this presentation was going to ask you how many of you actually have Banner products installed in your company, whether you are manufacturing something or you have any kind of material handling. And so I talked to the sellers that we have at Banner, and we actually walked through some of the companies and found out there isn't a single one here who doesn't actually have some of our products. That's how ubiquitous we are, while most of you have probably never heard of us. So, what I can say is that if you have plant or process managers, they know our name, and they also know our customer-centric philosophy. So, what does customer-centric mean in our industrial automation industry? Well, it means that we're actually known for having a dedicated team of apps engineers who are able to troubleshoot any of the most complicated industrial automation questions, and they do so on the phone and in full consultative support every day. And our sales teams and representatives actually love to talk shop. So when you call them, sometimes they're going to actually keep you on the phone longer than you want. And finally, in rare cases, when our customers actually need a broadly based solution that goes across their entire enterprise, Banner Engineering will actually create that product for them and provide it to their organization. So for the last 50 years, Banner has been building that customer-centric philosophy, and our tagline is more sensors, more solutions. What I will note is that every 3.5 seconds, it's actually a little more like 3.3 now, but 3.5 sounds so much more smooth, we actually have one of our sensors installed somewhere in the world. So we now solve problems for most of the manufacturing and material handling companies, from government through private industry, Companies in the Fortune 500 all the way down to the actual small startups that are actually changing industry with leading edge solutions. Banner technology actually supports manufacturing of all the cars that are driven, almost all the food that is eaten, and almost every medicine that is taken. So virtually every product in individuals' daily life. And so we now offer those solutions in helping individuals automate industry, improve their efficiency, and manufacture to the highest standard of quality. Today, we are much more than sensors, although my fidget spinner today, as I got nervous, is actually one of our products. So we offer smart industrial networks, smart I/O, connectivity technology, measurement solutions, lighting and indication, and machine safety. And more importantly, we have never changed our model of actually having real people and solid engineering practices behind all of that consultative selling. So our products also are very much built to last. The question was, how did we find out we needed to go to a digital strategy and end up in digital commerce? So as manufacturing and material handling is now well into the Internet of Things, IoT, our version is IIoT, the Industrial Internet of Things. So as our products now combine with each other to help companies get started in IoT, we had to find our way into digital commerce to start dealing with the way that people wanted to buy for us in the modern world. So this is actually the Q4x sensor. There's no reflector on that sensor, by the way. This little beauty, pardon me while I nerd out for a little bit. This is the piece of equipment that's in almost all of your companies. It detects presence and absence. It needs no reflector due to its protected nature, which is fully patented. It's incredibly rugged, and it can detect a target from any angle, including anything shiny or even completely clear. So the whole family of our products actually withstands impacts and vibrations, and it excels with everything from precise packaging or fun things like weld slag. I know you guys were looking forward to the phrase weld slag today, but also food splatter. So it's involved in both. So our Q4X is often imitated, but no one can really match the quality of that feature in either startup or in detection. And I swear, almost done with how much I love this company, but our sensing ranges from 24 meters with a couple of our products here, this one, to this little beauty right here, which has a range of 80 millimeters and can also sense distance changes as small as 2 microns. So back to my beloved Q4X. It's basically used by this group here for everything from clear bottle detection, tablet dispensers, vial counters, and verifying blister packs, hopper fill heights, and spotting deformed boxes on packaging lines. All right, so last thing I will note about us, and I do have these products available if you want to look at them as well. I brought all my toys, is that we're also known for introducing more than 35 products a year. So for many of you that introduced just a handful, last year we introduced 48. The year before we introduced more than 55. So we call ourselves the never-ending hamster wheel of new product introduction. So just recently we introduced this family. It's called the Snap Signal family of products. It is converters, connectors, masters, and a data cloud, that's all optional, that actually immediately allow companies to step into IoT, and that is without any complexity, significant time, expense, or risk. So the products themselves are actually easily deployable. It's modular IoT hardware and software, and it delivers actionable machine data across an entire factory or for just where you want to start locally in your process. So our companies can start small, it proves the value, and then they can ramp up quickly. So I don't know if any of you are necessarily wanting to go back and talk about how you can easily get an overlay network to capture data signals, but Snap Signal would be your thing. All right, so who are our customers then for this basis? Obviously, those of you in digital commerce are probably not the direct one responsible for banner purchasing, but it is your process engineers who absolutely know and appreciate our banner brand. Our business has genuinely grown from sensors to an incredibly vast assortment of automation solutions, but we're still also expected to serve and support companies across the globe and to do so personally. So our core customer visiting our site are all of the engineers, the floor managers, and the businesses of all size looking to install or improve automation in their process. So we genuinely serve a combination of what we call Ned in the Shed to enterprise-size multinationals and small businesses alike. That's the constant focus then for all of our activity. This, by the way, is our Pick-to-Light solution, which automatically will tell you where something is when you need to grab it from an entire wall of items to find. All right, so who is Banner today? Started in 1966. We now do have more than 5,000 employees and representatives across the globe, and we are serving with offices on more than 5 continents, 6 global manufacturing locations, and we put 10,000 products because really we don't want to speak to the entire 30,000 product portfolio when the main ones are really kind of more of this smaller set. This is the beginning of our current online buying experience. Anybody feeling better about their own commerce system right now? This is today. If you go to buy a product in our store today, this screen greets you, and this is at maximum scale. So what we found at the time of our actual site rebuild, where we redid our entire website, that was 5 years ago, and I was not with Banner at this time. So our e-commerce function and digital self-service really not a primary concern, as you can see. So I will also say that industrial manufacturing is not known for being the head of the UX curve, right? But even with the reduced standards, I would say that this experience is still, I guess the polite word would be difficult. The picture here, and I will note, is something where the login page is required to begin checkout, but beyond the obvious design issues, I think the real fun here is that there is no hint as to how to set up a password. So as we started watching about how our customers handled their experience, it would often lead to more than 3 attempts to try to figure out our mystery requirements for doing so. And yet, in spite of this, every time, I can't say this, every time I go to this site, I just hear that sad trombone in the back of my mind. In spite of all this, people still manage to buy from us and buy quite a lot. So this is our immediate checkout page currently. Again, enjoy that experience for those of you that don't have your cheaters on. It is functional, and again, just without any modern features. And frankly, I think the nice thing to say is that it looks fairly exhausting. I will spare you the rest, but I can assure you that it doesn't improve throughout the experience. Again, is anyone feeling better right now about their own commerce experience? I want you to go home feeling good. So how does this work? We had our challenge, which was to future-proof our digital commerce. Our new approach genuinely needs to help us move to self-service throughout our entire global footprint, with an emphasis on providing the right products and a frictionless experience. So it's interesting, but as we walk through building custom storefronts for our global partners, our omni-channel approach actually has to offer buying in the way that our customers genuinely want to shop. And when we try to move from frictionless, understanding where we're actually starting from today. So let's take a look at what that actually means. Banner Engineering actually had a clear intent to implement a state-of-the-art, modular, API-based commerce experience. So that was our goal. And we knew that moving to a phased introduction would actually serve us best. As individuals who have gone through a lot of digital launches, Banner Engineering actually issued our RFP with the phases defined. And I think that is where, if you are looking to implement an e-commerce system, it forces you to actually have that aligned across your company, and it's a tremendous advantage both for the partners that you're looking at, as well as ensuring that each of those deliverables are met. So, while our first MVP phase, which I'll actually show you, rebuilds the essential functions of our legacy store, each additional phase is actually going to bring us closer to the utility that we intend to, and we feel that our direct customers and our distributors actually will need and appreciate in helping to keep our Banner brand reputation. So all of you are probably familiar with the Gartner Magic Quadrant. And as we went through the selection process, in being very clear about where Banner is, We are an Oracle shop, we are an Adobe shop, and we are a Salesforce shop. Does anyone else have any of these three in their set? No one? Okay, I just thought I would ask. We, of course, issued RFPs to all of these players, and then we looked at the Gartner Magic Quadrant and said, well, we've never heard of these guys, but we do need a fourth. So Spryker made the call. And so it was the Gartner Quadrant that started this relationship. And we had everyone come in and give a presentation, and mostly what we were shown was an art of the possible, very broadly writ. And it didn't necessarily speak to our phased approach, nor did it address our direct and bespoke concerns as a company and what we needed to ensure was going to get done in order to serve our customer. So we recognized immediately, even at that first meeting, that Spryker was actually showing us how we could get precisely to where we wanted to go. And it came down to even a demo of our required functions. I can fully recall, I was sitting actually at the table. We had a large U-shaped table, and I have no shame. I don't know if Andrew remembers this. I got up, ran around the side of the table, sat next to our enterprise architect, and started explaining madly how this is exactly what I was looking for. So I will say that that approach has completely held true all the way through the execution. And so while we've had to truly remain nimble on both sides, there is never a time when implementing a digital commerce system is going to be easy. And at rare times, I think, can you call it fun? But it is something where it has been about remaining nimble on both sides and serving each other as co-equal partners. So we've made changes based on learning more about an RMA process or about cart functionality. And we have really felt like we've had a partner throughout. So you must admit, most of those top e-commerce vendors do appear equal in their scope. And I'm not saying anything disparaging about them. But what I will say is that the advantage of having them as part of your tool set already as a CMS or as a CRM does not mean that as part of your experience you will have tremendous advantages through that, as opposed to a partner where this is what they do and they spend all of their time obsessing over the utility of this function. So the ground truth of e-commerce, and in fact of all digital tool execution, is that a platform must either be flexible enough to meet your needs, or one or both partners will need to work very hard to meet a deliverable. So as you look at vendors, make sure you have that level of flexibility and commitment. And yes, we have that. So, isn't it gorgeous? All I can say is it's like when you've been sick and suddenly you get well, or it's essentially the equivalent of that experience. So we've got here is our actual mini cart functionality. I got to see if I can actually, oh, hang on. It actually plays through. So if anybody would like to see that live, this is us actually in our UAT. So this is all set up and ready to go. This is our quick add to cart function. So we've ensured that all of these utilities in MVP will allow us to circle back and layer on additional functionality that is part of our phased approach. So we are looking at this as something where, as we create this first layer of utility, we will continue to delight our customer and continue to communicate with our distributors in a way where they will appreciate the replacement just in its improvement in design. And then we're going to sucker punch them with amazing added utility, and they're going to be in love with us for the rest of their buying experience. So our ability to provide this freshly wonderful experience also includes everything from their order history, which has been color-coded. So our customers and distributors are actually going to be able to track their purchasing with ease. And that's also going to save our customer support staff to spend more time in consultative efforts with our customers, which makes that a more scalable approach for answering application and product questions. And finally, this is our mobile experience, which you didn't want to try to buy our products on a phone. You didn't. We think of this as introducing a brand new function. Technically, I call this a kick-ass experience. All right, so as far as timelines and bench strength, who do you need to actually implement your system along with either a partner or, in our case, the direct Spryker team? As I drafted this particular slide and sipped my coffee the next morning, I really couldn't help kind of wondering why Drucker, didn't put together, or any similar guru, some sort of pithy saying about how timelines can be set, but it's actually bench strength that determines your success. I know I sort of alluded to at different points here that I'm not new to implementing an e-commerce system. This, again, is my third version. And with this rodeo, it's always been with other platforms and always with different integration processes. That does not make me a maestro, similar to some of the people who are in this room, I understand. But it does help me ensure that we had the right project and process mapping completed. So, for those of you that are getting into this game for the first time, I can not only note that your RFP should be locked and loaded to say exactly what you need, but now is the time for you to start your process mapping. And that process mapping should go through every single part of your digital experience and then the functions that underwrite it with what helps that come true on the back end. And I can't say enough in praise of my Banner team members. We have our IT leads, Corey and Jason, who are not here, but we do have two of our folks here. I've got Weston and Calvin. Our testing lead is Lisa, and then our data savior, Heather. So what we've learned in our MVP phase, this is a snapshot of our actual Jira board, or I love how Matthias, our German lead, says Jira. We've never decided which is correct. Again, it's never too early to start your journey mapping of your digital commerce process. Understanding the why behind your functions beyond your map is an additional conversation you're going to want to have. Why? Because some of your processes will need to change with your improved experience. Some of you didn't realize that probably as you put your current commerce system in, even with Spryker, that as you actually had more transactions happening in your system, what else happened to the rest of your business that needed to shift? And actually you get more free time in some areas and supply constraints in others. How are you going to handle that digitally? If you start with a map in advance, you are ready for both conditions. Next, I consider this also to be a marathon, only held in sprints. So like a good marathon, it's best to go for a negative split. And for those of you who know, that's where you are paced so that at the half, you're not exhausted for the second half. And in fact, you have enough pace so that your team energy is still strong, and ideally, you finish the back split in less time. And here I'd like to note with Spryker, again, not my first digital marathon, but it is shaping up to be a PR. So if you get to go ahead and use your e-commerce discovery and implementation as time to work through the business to ensure you're ramped up for your e-commerce results, that is how you're going to ensure that the growth still delivers on your brand promise, which is what ultimately you want out of your choice. So for us, that includes the additional impact for our amazing customer service team. Even as we reduce low-level order questions when we launch this, our fulfillment and shipping teams, my digital marketing group, and our sales footprint in each market is getting sized up for the impact for them as we launch this experience and a further set of utilities in our B2B storefront. So it may just be self-service for the customer, but it's a tremendous amount of interdependency to keep your brand promise. So I can't overemphasize, it's best to start early. Speaking of that, I'm going to probably be done a little bit early, but I'm sure you guys don't mind. It's been a marathon day for you as well. So last night, I got a picture with Oscar. I am certain that Banner essentially has another set of chapters to talk about as we continue to move forward with our utility. We are going to be spinning out not just additional things for our distributor portal, but we are starting to outline all of the international storefronts that we have never launched, that all of our partnerships across our global footprint are incredibly eager to start with. So I look forward to potentially showing you those experiences and tell you what I've learned at that point. As many of you I know, or some of you are far in front of me, but some of you are trailing behind. And I would love to see that the Spryker offer as a herd means essentially that our crowds suddenly turn into family gatherings. That's the intent. So please, please make sure that you ask me any questions. And as we go through, I really do wish to be a help.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Do I get a hug? We have to have a hug. That's so nice. Thank you.